Isn't Luther in some way, wasn't he doing a self-fulfilling prophecy? He said that it's not the church that's giving rise to the Bible. The books of the Bible are written, and the church is affirming what Revelation is.
Mm.
But then he's coming along and doing the same thing again. And, I mean, in some ways he's saying for 1,000, 1,200 years, not fully inspired books were included in the fully inspired section.
Well, you know, as I said, it's probably the formation and development of what we call a canon, the books of the Bible during the Reformation era. I'm just going to have to admit that I'm not as well versed there as I would need to be to answer that question. But I will say this, that I think Luther himself, as any probably great man has who causes these kind of earth-shaking events, Luther had sometimes wondered, you know, at certain points, why only me? You know, like he's like, why does it seem, or like, in other words, like, am I right if it's only being, you know, if I'm going on this new way, then he had some trepidation about that at times. But he was also very sure that what he was doing was returning to the roots of the biblical revelation, Christ and St. Paul and so forth. But as far as, I don't know if my father or Pastor Granny can speak better to that, you know, to answer your question in terms of what exactly was his criteria, reasoning, and explanation for that. You know, like I've given the answer I can give, and that is that he simply saw them as more historical books, more of a type of wisdom literature, more for, you know, moral instruction, but not revelation and proclamation of the divine inerrant truth. You know, but I don't know. You know, and he did work with his colleagues on this, and whether that's kind of, you know, whether he's kind of being contradictory there, I don't know. I don't know if you guys want to address that or can address that better.
I can only say that 2 Maccabees, I think it's chapter 4, makes a reference that the Catholic Church had interpreted as evidence of purgatory.
Yeah.
And the need for the sale of adult indulgences is based on, you know, less time in purgatory.
Yeah.
And so if Luther begins with the premise of Scripture alone, and you can say, well, this is not found in Scripture, then if you can say, okay, but even if the Catholic Church can find it in this book is of lesser value than the other canonical books.
But I don't know that he excluded it.
But he didn't exclude it; he just puts it at the end of the Old Testament.
Right, and I don't know that he. And I know you're
Well,
not necessarily saying this, but I don't know that he excluded it from the canon. What we call the divine specific books of Revelation of the Bible, in order to.
No.
Right, in order to argue that. But you're saying it fit together.
It fit together.
Yeah, I mean, history's complicated. Remember, I told you I'm more of a systematician than a historian. So that was my disclaimer. But maybe I'll look into that, and when we do this again in 2017, the 500th anniversary of the 95 Thesis, I'll come back and I'll have an answer to that question. A better answer.
This is a 5-year course that we did in 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, any final word or question? Let's close. Or let me say very briefly a couple things about the bibliography. Very briefly, on the back of one of your handouts, the one of the chronological theological development, you have a little for further learning. I was going to put for further reading, but you have a film there too, so it's for further learning. The film on Luther is excellent. It came out just 5 years ago. There's been several films, but that one, it was really good, very historically accurate, very interesting. It actually ends at Augsburg in 1530, kind of like I did with the chronology. Both these sections, the biographies and Luther's basic theology, these are introductions. I didn't put stuff on here that was very heavy academic stuff, not because I don't think you can handle it, I'm sure you can, but because I'm giving an introduction to Luther here tonight. And as such, so I recommend the Luther film. I recommend The Hammer of God, which is Lutheran theology in the form of a novel. And I recommend Martin Luther's selections from his writings edited by John Dillenberger, because you need to read primary text. If you're going to study Luther, you shouldn't just study books about him, you should study stuff that he himself wrote. So, and that's a very good place to start. It's a one-volume selections from his best writings. Let us close in prayer with Luther's dying words from the Liturgy of Compline. Let us pray. Into your hands, O Father, I commend my spirit. You have redeemed me, O Lord, God of truth. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.